Good evening. This is Enid Lapellis. Today is November 23rd, and the time is 10 p.m. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please allow me to confirm the presence of those town council members that or anticipated participants. So I will do roll call, and if you're remote, I think I know who's remote, so I'll say like Dee Dee, so we'll start the roll call. Members, when I call you, call your names, respond in the affirmative. Dee Dee Martin?
Dee Dee Martin here.
And that's remote. Jen Aguilar?
Jen Aguilar here, remote.
Jason Mauer?
Jason Mauer, present remotely.
Okay. Terry Rooney is not coming tonight at all. John Formicella?
John Formicella, present.
Tony Scott?
Tony Scott here.
Sean O'Rourke?
Sean O'Rourke here.
Kevin Reed? You there, Kevin? Because he's going to be remote, so.
Kevin Reed here.
Okay, and myself, Enid Lapellis, here and present. Any other members? I don't see anybody. Allow me to read the opening statement about the hybrid meeting. Please note that this meeting is being conducted as a hybrid meeting in compliance with the governor's executive orders. As such, members of this body, designated staff, invited presenters, and members of the press may attend in person or remotely. All members of the public may attend remotely using GoToMeeting electronic conferencing technology. A limited number of in-person public attendees have also been permitted based upon the reduced capacity of the meeting room. This meeting is being conducted in real time, is open to the public, and any member of the public may listen or view this meeting anonymously. A copy of the agenda and any related materials have been posted to the Town of Monroe website for public inspection. Notice is hereby given that only 250 participants may access this hybrid meeting remotely at any one time. Remote access is granted solely by the technology provider and is not controlled by the Town of Monroe. In the unlikely event it appears we are approaching said limit, the chairman retains the right to adjourn and conduct the meeting at a later date using technology appropriate to ensure all members of the public may participate. This meeting is being recorded, and while we ask that those participating remotely to mute your microphones unless recognized to speak, anything you say, do, or is displayed on your screen may become part of the recording, which will be posted to the town's website within 7 days. The use of chat features is prohibited and will not be considered during the meeting at any time. As set forth on the agenda, this meeting will feature and permit public participation. Any written comments from the public regarding any business which would otherwise be germane to public participation and received between the date the agenda was posted through 1 hour before the start of the meeting will be read into the record during the public participation portion of the meeting. Okay, so we've done roll call. Consent calendar. Any objection to me passing this consent calendar as presented? Nobody, hearing nobody, I will present the calendar as presented. Communications, I hereby ask that communication items A through F be referenced in the minutes of the meeting. For the appointments. So going over appointments, Mr. Formicella?
Yes, Madam Chair. In connection with Resolution 20-116, I move to approve the appointment of Nicole Lupo of 11 Hawley Lane to the position of Planning Zoning Commission alternate, filling a vacancy left by Robert Westland for a term ending November 22nd, 2021.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Jason Mauer, second.
Okay, discussion, Mr. Kellogg?
I'm sorry for
Discussion? Any discussion?
appointments to elected positions are done directly by council. While I certainly support this appointment, it would not be appropriate for me to introduce this matter.
Madam Chair, if I may have the floor.
Sure.
Nicole is a 41-year resident of the town of Monroe. She has served Monroe on the Board of Ethics, and then most recently on the Economic Development Commission. Her term serving on both boards gives her extensive expertise to serve the town on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Nicole was interviewed by the LNA subcommittee and the subcommittee moved her nomination to the town council.
Okay, any further discussion? None? We're voting for, all in favor? So I think we have to really do it remotely by me calling the name. So Dee Dee, the motion for
Dee Dee Martin, aye.
Jen,
Sorry, Jen Aguilar, aye.
Jason,
Jason Mauer, aye.
John Formicella,
John Formicella, aye.
Tony,
Tony Scott, aye.
Sean,
Sean O'Rourke, aye.
Kevin,
Kevin Reed, aye.
and Enid, aye. So this motion passes 8-0.
We need to go back to, we missed public
Yeah.
participation.
Madam Chair, would you inquire as to whether any members of the public seek to address the council in public participation?
Do you see,
Yeah, we missed that agenda item.
I beg your pardon,
We
Ken?
missed that agenda item for the public participation, number 5.
Because I saw nobody here, so I thought that, okay,
They might be online, so we need to ask them.
so you've asked. And there's nobody answering. So going on to Donna Lynn Wales.
If anyone online wishes to speak at this point, please be sure to unmute yourself prior to indicating your desire to speak.
Okay,
Okay.
no public participation. So Jonathan,
In connection with Resolution 20-117, I move to accept the appointment of Donna Lynn Wales of 205 Old Newtown Road to the Board of Finance, filling a vacancy left by Craig Hirsch for a term ending November 22nd, 2021.
okay, second,
Jason Mauer, second.
okay,
Madam Chair, if I may have the floor.
yep,
Donna Lynn has lived in Monroe for 62 years. She's an active member of the community with professional work experience in the pharmaceutical industry. Donna Lynn has served the town on the library board most recently. Donna Lynn is looking forward to being an integral part on the Board of Finance. Donna Lynn was interviewed by LNA, and LNA passed this nomination to the full town council for its consideration.
okay. Any further discussion? Or else we'll vote the way we just did on the last one. Dee Dee Martin,
Dee Dee Martin, aye.
Jen Aguilar,
Jen Aguilar, aye.
Jason Mauer.
Jason Mauer, aye.
John Formicella,
John Formicella, aye.
Tony,
Tony Scott, aye.
Sean,
Sean O'Rourke, aye.
Kevin Reed,
Kevin Reed, aye.
and myself, Enid, aye. So this motion passes by 8-0.
Madam Chair,
Yep,
if we would mind indulging me, since both those individuals are present tonight, if I could swear them in?
sure, be my guest.
Who wants to go first? Stand right there is fine. Be my first socially distanced oath of office, right?
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Connecticut, and the Charter of the Town of Monroe, and you will faithfully discharge according to law your duties as a member of the Board of Finance to the best of your abilities, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Joel, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Connecticut, and the Charter of the Town of Monroe, and that you will faithfully discharge according to law your duties as an alternate, on the board, on the Planning and Zoning Commission, to the best of your abilities, to help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. There is no,
Madam Chair, we have one
action
more.
items. Okay, James Goldstein, so
Madam Chair, I move to approve the following resolution. Resolution number 20-118, resolved that the town of Monroe that the Monroe Town Council hereby approves the first selectman's appointment of James Goldstein of 2 Nutmeg Circle to the Economic Development Commission with a term ending January 31st, 2022.
Do I hear a second? Need a second.
Second.
Second by Sean O'Rourke. Discussion? Mr. Formicella?
Thank you. Mr. Goldstein is a 14-year resident of the town of Monroe. Mr. Goldstein has 30 years of experience in the audiovisual industry. We believe that his unique talents will make him an excellent addition to the Economic Development Commission.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote for this. Same way. Turn the page. All right. So Dee Dee Martin,
Dee Dee Martin, aye.
Jen Aguilar,
Jen Aguilar, aye.
Jason Mauer,
Jason Mauer, aye.
John Formicella,
John Formicella, aye.
Scott,
Tony Scott, aye.
Sean O'Rourke,
Sean O'Rourke, aye.
Kevin Reed,
Kevin Reed, aye.
and myself, Enid Lapellis, aye. So this motion passes by 8-0. Thank you. Going on to, I see on the action items, Mr. Reed, you want to discuss Town Council Committee on Legislative Administrative Matters?
Sure, yeah, everything we talked about is in the new items tonight.
Okay. Going on to G, First Selectmen's update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the COVID update, as I've started with every meeting, our statewide trends have continued. As I updated the community last week, there's 145 out of the Connecticut towns that are in the red alert category. That represents over 95% of the population of our state. I think you're all aware that the governor has suspended sports through January 19th. Today's report, DPH has 350 confirmed cases probable in Monroe. Our 2-week case rate is now averaging about 7.5 cases a day, which by the 100,000 population standard is 38.9, which puts us pretty much right in the middle of Fairfield County in terms of our case rate, which is indicated in the chart there. I'm sure you're all aware that the superintendent announced that our public schools have moved to full remote learning through December 11th. There certainly have been cases in our school community, but that was largely driven by staffing issues. A lot of them simply having issues of being on site due to childcare issues or quarantine or other matters. As I said, most of the cases in our schools have been tied to transmission outside of school, but it certainly has become a logistical issue there. So we continue to work with the team to try and establish some regular testing sites in Monroe. I know that the regional testing sites have been overwhelmed recently. I did hear today that they're making progress in kind of getting more testing spun up and getting that more stable. Staffing seems to be some of the biggest issues in the region. In my conversations, we have been able to try and secure a state vendor to do some testing. We are still working on the logistics of that. It is very much a challenge, but we will continue to do that and hopefully be able to announce something available to the public as soon as possible, but it is still a work in progress. There are a couple of new state grants relative to COVID that were awarded. There's no contracts required, so these will not come before you again, but I wanted to let you know about them. $7,400 additional funding received from DPH. That is for COVID-19 related to vaccination efforts, so equipment, supplies, et cetera. And about $9,000 over 2 years from the Connecticut Emergency Management and Homeland Security. That's going to be an automatic supplemental. We had to opt in and provide some information, but we're going to automatically get supplemental to the Emergency Management Performance Grant, which did come before you recently, so it will be tacked onto that over 2 years. So that was the COVID update. I did want to just make the council aware there, I got a couple of more curiosity over some Eversource work or presence at Web Mountain. So Eversource is actually in Web Mountain doing some tree work related to trees that are in the path of the distribution lines through Web Mountain. They supply electricity to that area of town. They've been a big factor there. Anything they have to remove will be utilized to the extent possible for town use, wood chips, firewood at the Web Mountain campsites and other types of park purposes. Other than using one of the parking lots, there's really no other impact. There's full access to hiking, and people just have to use the second lot. So that's what's going on there. And last but certainly not least, the budget process has started once again. I will make sure for those that are on the electronically that we get you my copy of my budget memo that went out to department heads late on Friday. At this point, it's, I put forth the standard schedule that we normally, that I would normally propose based upon our charter dates and the normal process. Of course, we have absolutely no idea how the pandemic may or may not modify this. So as I said, the department heads will have to be flexible. I did take the liberty of adding to the schedule with a TBD date somewhere in January. My thought process would be that SBC would do a capital project review meeting. And I think we should do that regardless of whether it has to be remote or in person, because we obviously need to get that kind of, as you all know, we kind of left capital projects kind of in limbo already. So we'll have to have a discussion as to where we think we're going to go with those projects that were proposed in the current fiscal year, if we'll get to any of those, assuming that we have appetite to fund those this current fiscal year, and then what that means for next fiscal year. But I think it'd be important to have that meeting before we start the budget process, because I want to make sure we get everything on the table ahead of time. So that is my update.
Okay, there is no unfinished business, so going on to new business.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
may I
Yes,
ask
Jen? Sure.
You want to unmute, Jen?
Can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted it. I have a question about our protocol for COVID. If someone on council has been exposed and is not coming to a meeting, can we let everybody know that without names or, without breaking any FOI things, just so that we can all be assured that it is safe?
So you saying, let's say if I got the COVID, I don't know, Wednesday, Thursday, you want us to let's say you want me
Or
to,
if your husband got it and you were exposed to, because I know I had to be in quarantine just because I was exposed to, because my son was exposed at school. So if we could just make it a protocol that if someone is exposed and they're not coming to a meeting, just to let the council know so that we're confident that we can come to a meeting and know that it's okay. Is that
Well,
something
Jen, I can't support that as a protocol because it would be a violation of someone's privacy.
okay, I know it
certainly-
without,
Certainly, it is always an individual's option, should they choose to share that as you have tonight. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think, certainly, I'm sure other council members would be appreciative of that, but to require that really would be not something that we could do as a town.
okay,
Like any other effort if there was a positive case, the health department would do contact tracing, and then certainly if there were something met the definition of exposure, those individuals would be advised that they've been exposed and therefore have to quarantine. And that's really what it comes down to, is that if you've been advised to quarantine, you shouldn't be coming to a meeting exactly as you are doing.
okay.
And I would assume that anyone on, for any member of town government, whether it's staff, administration, or elected officials, all should know, as we've posted on all the doors, that no one should be entering a building if they have been told to quarantine, or obviously if they're having symptoms and are awaiting testing.
Okay,
Okay?
okay, understood.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the intent of your comment is, I don't want to, I think it's very well intentioned, but I don't want to, I don't want, members, feeling that they're compelled to share their medical diagnosis with anyone. That's all.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Tony?
Yeah, Mr. First Selectman, does the governor's order still stand from this past budget referendum, or is that expired? The one where they allowed the Board of Finance to move forward?
You mean relative to the budget approval process?
Correct.
No, that executive order was very specific to that one budget cycle. I will tell you that I did see some language kind of floating around there. It was really more, it was from the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. They were just doing some guidance documentation. That was one of the things that was brought up that said, hey, if we are in a similar position, another order would have to be issued. Basically, that's all they were saying. They weren't saying it was going to happen or it should happen. It was brought up that would have to, that whole process would have to be thought through again if that was something the governor was considering.
Okay, gotcha.
So no, as it stands, the budget, the referendum would go on as planned at this point.
Okay,
Madam
any
Chair,
other-
may I ask another question?
Sure.
Mr. Kellogg, do we happen to know the percentage of tax revenue that's come in? I know we had budgeted it for being pretty 70s, I think, 70% coming in. Do we happen to know?
Yeah, the Board of Finance did set a very low, well, I shouldn't say low, they set a very conservative collection rate as compared to normal years. Currently, the tax collector has reported that our collections are kind of on par with, on a percentage basis, to collectible, as we've seen in prior years, so just over 50%. The caveat with that, and I think, I certainly don't want to speak for the Board of Finance, but in my meetings with the Board of Finance, what I've heard expressed in the past is that, January's second payment is something that they're paying a very close eye on to see how those come in. I think, if we have a strong January collection, I think that would be our signal that we could possibly be a little bit more, we can entertain some of the capital projects and things like that we talked about. But I think that's the current, so far we're doing okay, but I think there's still some concern over how January will come in.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, one of the issues that came up with the Board of Finance was that, which I reported to them at one point, was a response to a question. We had done some research on, because as you know, the majority of residential properties are escrowed, their taxes are escrowed by a loan. And anecdotally, we're hearing that there are many mortgage companies or lenders that are paying the taxes, even though the individual may not be current on their payments and therefore not current on escrow. We don't have any solid metrics on that. Again, it's all anecdotal, but that's another reason that I guess brings a little pause to some of us to say, well, let's see how January goes. So,
False money.
sure.
Thank you.
Anything else of the selectmen? Okay, going on to new business. A, acceptance of the following donation that individually exceeds $1,500. Mr. O'Rourke?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. That we accept the following donation, acceptance of the following donation that individuals exceeds $1,500. I, $13,000 from Sprint of Monroe for community and social services.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Formicella, discussion?
If I may, Madam Chair?
Certainly.
So it was inadvertently left out of your packet, but I know that Kat did mail it out earlier tonight. The Sprint from Monroe group, as you'll know, normally comes before you and recommends disbursement of their funds to a variety of different organizations. This year, they had contacted me, and there's a letter in your email that basically articulates that they have decided that the $13,000 that they raised after expenses through their virtual race that they want to be donated directly to, and in its entirety, to the Monroe Social Services Department to go towards the food pantry, Project Warmth, and the Friendship Fund for Holiday Giving Tree. So Ms. Primorak, who's been leading that group, wasn't able to join us tonight, but I certainly thank her and the entire committee for all their hard work. They are planning for next year and hoping that they can have an actual race next year. But these would be certainly our funds are welcomed, and we thank them for everything they've done. And that's it.
I think for a vote, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to want this, but you may say no. So how about if I just
Madam
say?
Chair, before we move to a vote, may I have the floor?
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to state that with the event going virtual this year, fortunately, we were able to participate in it. It was a great run. I want to thank on behalf of myself, as well as I'm sure the rest of this council, the entirety of the board for Sprint for Monroe, as well as all of the members inside and outside our community that donated and participated in the virtual run this year. When times got tough and things seemed like they weren't going to happen, they adapted, and it's a wonderful thing to see that they were able to adapt and still provide such a wonderful service for the town, as well as for all of the people who look forward to doing the run. So thank you very much.
So let me just put it this way. Is anybody against this motion to accept the $13,000 that's going to get transferred to the social
Madam
service?
Chair, we have to go through a vote by the rules of order.
Okay, and I just was trying to just save time, but no problem. Okay, Dee Dee,
Dee Dee Martin, aye.
Jen Aguilar,
Jennifer Aguilar, aye.
Jason Mauer,
Jason Mauer, aye.
Jonathan Formicella,
Jonathan Formicella, aye.
Tony Scott,
Tony Scott, aye.
Sean O'Rourke,
Sean O'Rourke, aye.
Kevin Reed,
Kevin Reed, aye.
and myself, aye. So this motion passes the acceptance of the donation by an 8-0 vote. Going on to B, Resolution 20-119, to consider and act upon a resolution regarding CDC COVID-19 vaccination program provider agreement. Mr. O'Rourke?
I move that the following resolution be hereby adopted. Resolution number 20-119, resolved that Kenneth M. Kellogg, First Selectman of the Town of Monroe, and Dr. Michael O'Reilly, Medical Advisor for the Monroe Health Department, are authorized to execute and deliver on behalf of the Town of Monroe the CDC COVID-19 vaccination program provider agreement and any associated documents by and between the Department of Health and Human Services Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, parentheses, CDC, close parentheses, for COVID-19 vaccinations.
Okay, I hear a second for this.
Jonathan Formicella, second.
Okay. Second, Mr. Kellogg?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Nancy Brault, our Director of Health, who is on the online meeting this evening, has been working to submit this provider agreement to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention so that the Monroe Health Department will be able to participate in the COVID-19 vaccination program. As I mentioned to LNA earlier tonight, there are a lot more questions than there are answers currently in terms of a lot of the logistics, timing, et cetera. So there's a lot of discussion going on the state level, on the regional level, on how this will unfold. And a lot of it is going to be very dependent upon how much vaccine is distributed, which formulation is distributed, and when. But that said, one of the things that I and Nancy Brault want to ensure is that to the extent that we locally are able to provide vaccinations, which may be as simple as being able to do our own first responders when initial doses come out, or other groups that are identified by the state and the CDC as priority groups that we are able to, assuming that it's the type of operation that would be to the scale that we can address locally. I know that Ms. Brault has been working with our regional partners to be able to stand up larger regional clinics when necessary. It would, again, be largely based upon the volume that we're looking to do and the type of venue that's required, et cetera. So that said, this agreement is simply so that we, as the town of Monroe and Health Department, will be able to participate to the extent that especially those initial clinics are put up when there's smaller doses available, and then so that we will also be able to participate to the extent necessary with our regional partners. That said, you have the legal opinion from our town attorney. And again, Ms. Brault is also on the line if there's any questions. This form may look familiar to you. It's the same kind of information they ask for our influenza and childhood vaccinations and things like that. So,
Any other discussion? Any
Madam
questions?
Chair,
Yes.
just two items. One, this did go through LNA and was passed unanimously through to the count for consideration by council. And two, the only question during LNA was regarding on page 6, the settings where this location will be administered. I had asked about the use of the senior center and should community center be checked, and was made aware that the checking of the kind of catch-all of temporary or off-site vaccination clinic point of dispensing could cover places such as the senior center, so that we do have options for when this comes out, and as such was comfortable moving this forward.
Okay, thank you. Voting on this, Dee Dee Martin,
Dee Dee Martin, aye.
Jen Aguilar,
And Aguilar, aye.
Jason Mauer,
Jason Mauer, aye.
John Formicella,
John Formicella, aye.
Tony Scott,
Tony Scott, aye.
Sean O'Rourke,
Sean O'Rourke, aye.
Kevin Reed.
Kevin Reed, aye.
Aye, so this motion passes 8-0. Seeing no public participation.
We got to check online.
Just
just in
ask.
case.
Okay, I'll check online.
Yep. Is there anybody online that's willing to speak for second public participation? Please unmute yourself and let us know. Okay.
Seeing no one, this meeting is adjourned at 8:44 PM. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
You as well. Happy Thanksgiving. Night.